Ulonga tabati yada to ye ko madaifa. Ino to ye ko jeun. Love baby pa. Oba tala, oba takutakun. Songo Eshu, Ogun Oya Osun. Kini ṣẹ̀ṣe tán ṣe nílé yìí o. Ó jẹ́ lọ jára.
Alafia, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I am your host, Orisha, and today we are joined once again by the living legend himself, the Aloye Baba Ifa Karade. Boy, Abo Shishe Baba. How you doing today?
I told Ori will soon. Da name my brother. I'm fine. Ready to get things moving and shaking, man. You know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
A lot on the Ori this evening, brother. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Gotta let people know. Gotta let them know.
Oh, yeah. Already. Look, and that's exactly why we're here now. We're here to do just that. Yes, sir. Right. Yes, sir. That's what's up. Well, with that, man, Oshe E5 Day today. Shout out to Arimula and E5 and all of the supporters and the listeners and the subscribers and the members of the tribe, man. Definitely, as always, appreciate you all for the love, support, for all the shares, everything that y'all do. We definitely appreciate it, man. And even the people, especially who have kind of joined the team that, just for the sake of helping out and helping us to get things going on another level and bringing a lot of new, projects and a lot of new things to the forefront in the very near future. So I'm looking forward to that. I've been recruiting some young kings that I'm trying to get to, do some things as well, man, to delegate and give us a whole, roster, man, get us a whole roster so we can really start making things happen on another level. And that's what is needed. And that's what we're here for. So with that, Baba, how about you, man? How everything going on your end?
It's going well, my brother. All situations are panning out.
Yes, sir.
Getting some accolades from the college, in terms of, bringing out the best in the students, man, and getting accolades from the Ifa Orisha people who are working, with me to bring about the fruition of several projects. And I return the accolades, because the coach without the team, man, the Babalaos would, without the devotees, we're all in it together, and we all reflect, the image of our goodness and our greatness upon one another. So
Sure.
I give thanks, man. I give thanks, and I give thanks to all the people who are listening, all the people who, upon listening, let other people know, so that the light shines and the word is delivered.
Sure.
So I'm like that, man. I'm like that.
Oh yeah, I already know. I already know. Look, based off the last couple of days conversation we've been having, man, it's a lot. It's a lot to talk about, especially in alignment to what you just said. Especially when seeing and hearing and feeling the impact and the response, to the people who support. And I think that's the thing that I really take pride in, is like having that relatability and that connectability with those who are like-minded, but also being willing and able to share insight, perspective, and authenticity, you know what I mean? But then also something that you and I spoke about deep in depth, amongst ourselves, is like that willingness to be, ready to position others for success and to, lift other people up and push other people forward versus trying to hold people down, and push people back. Like, because there's a lot of that going on. And I know you can speak to it way deeper than I can because you've been experiencing it for so much longer than I have. But even in a little bit of time, that I've been working with people in the community and seeing like how the experiences were prior to them, you know what I mean? Like tapping in with us, like some of this, like, I'm just gonna say it, like dictatorship, you know what I mean? That's been kind of going on with people's journeys and people's progress, or people's, ability to elevate and to, manifest within their destiny, with their ori, within, their journey. So with that, that's something that we definitely have, in store tonight with the topic in regards to Akbon and that in Ifa and literature. Like how does that, matter of fact, can you just break down the word Akbon, because I'm sure it might be some people that may not even know, what it means.
Okay. But before I do, all right, I just want to, embrace that concept of Asuwada, because see, that's the foundation. And when we embrace the concept of Asuwada, we begin to bring that concept into, and I'll use the word fruition again, we make it a concrete reality, and the community is the cosmos. You understand? And all the stars shine brightly, and all the gravitational pulls that circle counterclockwise, around Ifa and Isese as our sun, as our guiding light. You understand? That is what makes us who we are. We here on the Asé Channel, we here, part of the tribe and the nation. And that said, it is the foundation of what I'm about to speak more in depth on. But prior to that, I want to send out a resounding thank you to members of the team who have brought about the book, now completed, okay, that carries the same name, Ogbon, okay, Shah Goddess, okay, Shegan Shah, okay, Osun Yi, okay, Shegan, okay, letting people know who you are, okay, because you are the shining stars, all right, Adeola, okay, Karaday, Oshuni Karaday, Shah. And then we have Iya, Shango Priestess, Olabanji, and others who have assisted, in the bearing of this fruit. Ifashe Gun, okay. Um, Sister Rami, Sister Stacy, okay. So everybody out there come to understand, that it is about building the tribal nation, not just saying, we're the tribe. Uh, Baba Orisha Bami and I, we're like constantly communicating, constantly making decisions that assist in the movement of we, the people, not glorifying ourselves and coming up with massive schemes and stories to suppress, oppress, and manipulate. And I only say that so that it's made clear. Because even when we don't think we have assumptions, those assumptions rule our day. And those assumptions are based on what we see out there, more so than what we see inside of us. So I just wanted to present that. And again, give thanks. Give thanks. Because we're going to make this happen. We are, piece by piece, making it happen. And this now leads to the segue into Ogbon. Again, for all of the years prerequisite, all of the years study and travel, okay, this term never heard, okay, Ogbon, okay, loosely translated, okay, it's wisdom. And we often take that word for granted. I would say, so-and-so is a wise man, but we rarely turn the pages of his life to see how he became wise, or that's a wise elder woman there. And we rarely turn the pages to understand the story of her journey. and how she became so wise. Okay. We take the term for granted, and we do for a number of reasons. One that relates specifically to Ifa Isese is that we don't have the literature. Okay. And I'm not going to fall prey to, oh well, we had oral tradition. Not in 2025. I'm not going to hide behind that. And I encourage others to come from behind the tree and look at the wide space, the vastness, and say, well, that is clearly true. But what we do have is the capability to write our stories. And I even question, like right now, have we lost the oral tradition? When we think about our grandparents and we think about the stories that we're told and the stories that we tell, you see? So that is a wonderful kind of epiphany or revelation when we think about it. So now we have the wise elders. And it seems like the more we go to school and the more educated we become, the less liberated we are. And the more invisible we become unto ourselves and into our culture. And it's not just the going to school part, my people. It's the media, it's the oppressive nature of this society who basically disrupted and destroyed our continuity of thought, our continuity of morals, our continuity of virtues, our continuity of spiritual insight, our continuity of, and I'll use this word in quotation marks, religiosity. So we take for granted not only the elders, but the wisdom of the elders and the stories that made the elders wise and their way of transferring, transmitting, translating the experiences so that we, with all of our education and potential and technology, embrace the core elements of life, the core elements of living. And those core elements, through time, become wisdom, Ogbon. Okay? And we look at the stair steps to it. Okay? And I'm going to say this, and then, of course, I'll step back and take any questions, comments. But we have Imo, which is knowledge. Oye, which is understanding. And then Ogbon, which is wisdom. Now, as we gather knowledge, let's say we're historically directed. We may be studying Africana studies in colleges. We may be reading books about Ifa and Orisha. We may be involving ourselves in various ceremonial and ritual activities. Our pursuits lead us to these places, and we're trying to gain knowledge, and we're often short-circuited. There are too many documented statements wherein the pursuit of knowledge is halted, a screeching halt. We're told not to read books. We're told that the books have to be filtered through whomever the Babas and Iyas are, Madrinos and Padrinos, whomever. Okay. Now we're in the pursuit of knowledge, and we're in the pursuit of knowledge about something that relates directly to us, like our ancestry, our inner spirits, or our callings. Okay. That or we run across many books that are in languages other than that which we have been raised to speak, read, hear. It's like, okay, this, I remember back in the day, there was very little written in English, had to pull on some Spanish folks to say, help me out here. And then there was a lot of books coming out where there's a lot of Yoruba in it. And I was like, okay, and I'm trying to understand. And then if they have the translation at the bottom, it's like, okay, I'm carrying around a book that's 90% incomprehensible, but yet I'm trying to understand it. That's why I'm amassing the knowledge. I'm not amassing the knowledge for knowledge's sake. Oh, I have all these books, and I'm like, well, that's fine. Okay. But how much understanding do you have? Has it changed your perspective? Are you interpreting, or are you regurgitating? Are you memorizing, or are you moving through the world, okay, with understanding, application, okay, insight, foresight, and dare I say, hindsight? What have you learned about you from your past based on what you have come to know? And you see, all of these conceptual statements become real to me, and I'm sharing with all of you that it's necessary to become real to you also. That's the wisdom that as an elder, I share with you. Okay? That we must take it upon ourselves to perhaps go beyond the four walls of the ceremonies and the rituals and step into the vastness of ourselves. Now, I'm not advocating any disturbances, okay? But I am advocating, your absolute and ultimate right to be within yourself and to seek understanding with whatever little bit of knowledge you pick up. I'm still seeking knowledge, but I know I have to immediately bring it into understanding and then translate it into wisdom. But it's taken 40 years plus to do that. Okay. But those are the pages in my book. Okay. Those are the pages that I open up to the Ifa Isese cosmic reality, not just some, mental hypothetical term, but there's a cosmic reality where Osun brings the stream of consciousness. And Osun, it's like, this is the stream of consciousness. It's more than a river. It's more than a river where we wash our souls. It is all that, but it's more than that. It's the stream of consciousness that is eternal. Okay? And that is ancestrally molded, like the way of a river is molded by the earth by Onile, the earth being, the earth goddess. She molds the stream of consciousness, and we flow, or we're hindered from flowing. Okay. So the point here is to bring about the inward journey and to see the value of self, and to bring forth from the book of the elders, elder reflections, okay, that understanding. And I'll say to you with all sincerity that every letter that I write, individual letter, is, and I say this with no real, feeling about it, strangely, but every word is a teardrop, and every letter, yes, okay, and every letter forms a word, and every word is an ebo. You understand what I'm saying? Every word is an ebo, and every book is an Otun. Every book is an Orisha pot, and every stone that goes in that pot, is a stone from the river. And those stones, as the tradition tells us, okay, they are literally formed by the rain that comes from the sky. And those stones become the ancestral stones, and they become the Orisha stones. And they go inside the pot. And what does the pot represent? The containment of ourselves. You see? So if we just even took that to say, every word we speak, is sacred. Okay? Every thought we have is like that stone, okay? But like that rain. And it becomes more than metaphorically speaking. It becomes a concrete reality. And this is Akbon. This is what leads to the wisdom. Okay? Baba Orisha, baby. I'm going to say Asé on that. Okay, my brother? Where you be?
Right here. Right
All
here, waiting in the bullpen, man, ready to jump in and throw some pitches. That's about it.
All right. Come on
You
out,
know,
brother.
and you said a lot, and I'm telling you, I can't stress how many lessons I've learned live here on air. You know what I mean? It's so funny because I've shared that with the members. Shout out to the OGC Institute too, man. Shout out to all the members of the institute, and shout out to the Office of the Balogun Shango. We had a dope meeting last night, man, with all of your lawyers, man. So shout out to Baba and all of my fellow lawyers with the office. We got some things that we're working on as well to bring to the forefront. So it's a lot of movement, a lot of motion, and I give thanks, and salute to all the affiliations that I have with people, and people that's been doing big things for the culture. So I definitely want to give them a shout out, as well as for the OGC Institute members. But we've had some phenomenal conversations after the classes, right? And I remember one of the ones I was sharing with the tribe was like, we are in the midst of truly legendary, profound, not just lessons, but like we're witnessing greatness in real time, and I feel like it's divine because the lessons that I've learned here on the air are profound, but some of the ones that I've learned in those classes within the institute is just it's taken up notches and levels. Even then, even a couple I was like, man, like this. I had to give thanks after the class because it's like I don't take this for granted. You know what I'm saying? As much as we talk and as much as we've done together, and I look forward to doing together, I don't take any of it for granted, and I'm definitely grateful for the opportunity to to work with you in the capacity that we do. But it's like the things that I've learned in just this short amount of time. I'll even just say since the podcast, man, even though we've been working, you've been teaching me and kind of coaching me up for a minute, but since we started doing this and working like really consistently, I've learned a lot, I mean, a lot. And it's like, it's dope because it gives me the ability to, like we were talking about last night, or I don't know if it was the night before, but either way, to pour into other people. You know what I mean? And to like really, really pour in on a whole nother level, because I've been able to take in so much on another level, and then kind of, you know what I mean, like to kind of pay it forward and push it forward to those who I work with, and just those who I deal with on a regular everyday, capacity. And it's like, even working with the youth, man. I had a presentation, I think last Monday, with the young kings, and the message was, we start with a quote, and that particular quote was, I think I shared it on the podcast too. It's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared, right? And I feel like that's kind of like where I was blessed to, I feel like, establish the relationships with you and all the other pillars who have been, the elders who have guided this ship called Asé. And it's like, for me, I used, in regards to the presentation, was about leadership. I used Malcolm X and his story, and how, he started out as Detroit Red, right? And then, of course, when he went to prison, he started, he found his faith. That's when he kind of transformed and went through that, metamorphosis to where he became, Malcolm X, and then the Honorable El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, right? So I say all that to say, I tell the young kings, like, look, when you come here, you might come here in a position or a role like you, like Detroit Red, but I'm here, and these brothers and these kings and these babas that I have here with me, we're all working to make sure that we do everything we can to see you leave here as if you're the Honorable El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. And so I feel like that's kind of like what I've been learning throughout the process, especially through OG Say. It's like kind of like what Malcolm got out when he was able to go under the tutelage of Elijah Muhammad. You know what I mean? And so it's like this thing called legacy. That's a real thing. And then the way that you always say 7 generations ahead. I don't know how many people really think like that, to think, beyond themselves that far into the future. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's deep. And especially when we're talking about what you got coming up with this book. And shout out to that Kwesi, because he want to know when it's coming out. I didn't want to speak on that until look, I didn't want to speak on that until I got back on the stream, because I ain't want to throw you no curveball, and I damn sure wasn't to try to answer for you to him. But I definitely wanted to make sure that I put his comment up with some real live commentary, to kind of go with it in real time. So I don't know, do you want to share that with us, Baba, or do you want to kind of keep it, you know what I mean, bubbling for a minute, or simmer it, or like, how you want to do it,
Just throw the ball, man. I'm gonna catch it one way or the other.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
Yeah. But in answer to our brother's question is that yes, it will be for sale, and we're talking about within the next 2 weeks, and how the process ongoing has given rise to other other fruits. Okay, the team members are coming up with their own ideas, except that one tree bears many branches and many fruits. So it's like I'm just watching this process, and echoing Baba Orisha Bamian stating that, okay, what is our purpose here, as the Baba Laos, as those who are in this vague position of leadership, dare I say, and that is, as I quoted with Baba Orisha Bami, Ibrahim Tawarois, is like, leadership is a privilege, it's not a business, it's a privilege. Being a Baba Lao, being an Oba, being an NOG, that's a privilege. And the privilege from this, corner of the universe, is to treat others as if they are privileged.
Yes, sir.
I get so much from my students because I treat them like they're privilege. Like this is your right. You are a human being. You're not caged in this college, although it may seem that way. You know, you're not at the mercy of every oppressive move that is against you, because I'm going to advocate for you, you know, and once you see the light shine in the reflection of the in the river that is your consciousness, you will forever be changed. And this is what happens when we take on the responsibility of being leaders who bring out the best in people so that they become leaders. I don't want to be wise just because I want to be wise. I want to be wise so I can share the wisdom and everybody becomes wise. You understand? And everybody is a color in the rainbow, if you will. Everybody is that unique drop of rain, if you will. You know, everybody is the seed once planted now grows into their own unique and creative and beautiful flower-bearing, fruit-bearing tree amongst themselves. Imagine, if you will, a community, an Asuwada that is not in turmoil, oh, my this and my that and my this and my that, you know, and I'm this and I'm that, you know. But every aspect, every part, every tree forms a forest of magnificence. And just like it was undone, we can redo it. And just like they attempt to, you know, kill us after we're dead, you know, kill our dreams, kill our legacy after we die, they continue to kill us, kill our history, kill our divinities, kill our philosophy, kill our prophets. And though we may be walking, we are dead, and everything about us is constantly being killed. You know it, and I know it. Okay? And if Ifa and Isese doesn't do anything about it, then what are we supposed to do? Look towards, you know, everybody else to do it? We're the priests and the priestly, whether we're initiated or not. If you are a part of the clarity, your essence is a part of the priestly, the sacerdotal order. And as stated in the book, and I'll make some quick references, you know, we're a vital part of our consecration. We are a vital part of the consecration of all that we receive. Now let's look at that briefly. Yes, consecrate my elekes, high priest, high priestess. Yes, consecrate my warriors. Yes, consecrate my king, you know, my Ishefa. Okay. Consecrate these stones. Take me through the initiation. Okay. Baba Rishi, maybe can you take the writing off, please? Okay, thank you, brother. Okay. So here we have everything is talked about being consecrated. Okay? And again, this is in the book. Okay. But what I've never heard, okay, is consecrate me. Okay? At any given point, how do I become a part of the consecration? Granted, oh, I'm cleansed with the bird. Granted, I'm prayed over. Granted, I'm giving a title. Okay? I'm no longer an Ogbon uninitiated. I'm an Orisha, okay? And I'm no longer, Orisha. I'm moving on, and now I'm an Iya or Baba or Babalao or Yanifa. And I'm like, well, oh, that's fine. But have you accepted being a part of the consecration of the objects that you have received? Because this is what wisdom not only expects, but dare I say demands. Because you can have all of the consecrated objects in the world. You know it. Come on. Okay? I'm not talking to teenagers out here, You can have all of that and bask in the glory of your material reality and trying to weave spirituality into the material. All I'm saying is, as someone who's gotten a little peep of wisdom, is that perhaps the focus needs to be, or should I say, suggested to be, a greater concentration on the self. Consecrate the self. Now, how do we go about that? Okay. Well, we seek to understand. Okay? And how do we understand? We get knowledge. And how do we get knowledge? We form a relationship with the people that look to us for guidance, that look to us for ascension, hence the ascension. So we come to understand, we take more of an interest in the individual than what we can give the individual. Oh, well, you need your luckys. Oh, you need your warriors. Oh, you need this. You need that. This, that. You need this. You need that. You need to come back for this. You need to do this on a regular basis. And never one time ask, who are you? I mean, who are you really? Because see, it's the self that Orunmila is guiding us to embrace as a philosophical statement, as a pragmatic statement. Hence the title of the book, Akbon, a pragmatic approach to Ifa study. Pragmatic, applicable, necessary for the growth. Not the continual layering with more material things, but actually going into, as Ika Meiji states as a warning to Babalaos, okay? Do not lead people on the recycling and recircling of minor situations and circumstances, but attend to the major ones. Attend to the major ones. So if every time we come around and I say, with Osun Yi, told her, but people need to stop drowning in a teaspoon of water. You understand? Panicked and frantic and fearful. And the tradition says, if the lion is chasing you, don't stop and ask for divination. Okay, there's some things you should know what to do as an adult, but we want to give up ourselves because those are the stories that we hear, and we don't want to leave our comfort zone. I don't want to run from that line because I'm comfortable in my spot. I don't want to accept the fact that something's going on around me, even though I know, come on, I'm freaking 40 years old. I'm 30 years old. I'm 25 years old. I don't know the difference between right and wrong. I don't know the difference between somebody stabbing me in the back or embracing me as a true friend. But no, now it becomes a matter of I don't want to leave my comfort zone. Okay. And so therefore, I'm going to get a reading. I'm not going to get a divination. And we've already talked about the difference between the two. So with that in mind, we take into the book Ogbon the wisdom of not only myself as an elder, but from the literature that I've studied and the elders whom I've spoken with and the elders who initiated me in Ejibo.
Yes, sir.
Nigeria.
Shout out to Ejibo too, man. Shout out to the E5 school that we got in Ejibo, sponsored by the office too, bro. Yes, sir. Shout out to Ejibo, man. We got the opportunity to meet the. I want to say he was the. I can't remember if he was the Araba or the. He was. I can't remember what his title was, but he was a boss in Ejibo. I wish I knew. I can remember what his title was, but he was very, very, very profoundly humble, wise elder, man. It was truly an honor and pleasure. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was also an attorney or something like that as well. But welcomed us with open arms, man, and the school was dope. You know, with the children. I got to share some of that content too, man, because it was a phenomenal experience. But two things real quick, Baba. I didn't mean to interrupt, but these two things were on my mind. First, I want to shout out Ejibo, but also. The word Akbon. Well, no, before I go into that, I just want to throw this out there. When you talk about your elders, and for those who have the OGC, I was looking for it in my library, but I think it might be behind a few other books I can't see. But the initiators and the elders that you're speaking about, I want to highlight this, and I've shared it before, but I want to reiterate. You were initiated by 185 years worth of, I feel like, wisdom when your initial initiator for Obatala was over 100 years old, right?
Okay, and then her son, who was an Araba, right, and he's the one who took me up to Oketashe, to Arumila's temple, Arumila's shrine in Ile Ife. And left me there. You know, he left me by the stone, man. And I'm like, you know, and the rain was coming down, and I was like slipped about 4 or 5 times climbing up there, but it's like, hold on. So it was definitely a pilgrimage. And some people know, well, why'd he leave you there? And I know upon reflection, definitely why he left me there. First of all, he figured, I'm a grown man. Okay. And encompassing that is whatever relationship you have with the Rumila, that's your relationship with the Rumila. That's not my relationship through a Rumila to you, or a Rumila's relationship to you through me, and none of that. You Foribale, you stay here. You stay here. You don't turn to me to be, looking out for you. You're an adult. Okay? Your Romulan's already drug you across the Atlantic Ocean twice. Okay? So the relationship that you build, and see, that's, bruh, I'm so happy that you came up with that, because see, that ties into the consecration of the self and not the object. Because it could have been, oh, well, here's a stone from Orumila, bless you. And then now you take the stone. But it's like, no, you sitting there, you are a part of the consecration. And whatever you come out of here with, trust me, it's going to guide your life. Is it going to be comforting? No. Is it going to be, a blessing? No. But what it is going to be, it's going to be a deepening relationship between you and this stream of consciousness set forth via Osun, carved by Onile. But as they say, Orumila passed on the divinatory essence and capability, not capacity, because they all had the capacity, but the capability to know the Odu and to bring forth. Now, Orunmila taught Osun, taken cosmically, stream of consciousness, divinatory. Oludumare gave the deepness of the Odu to Orunmila. Orunmila gave a practical way to apply it to Osun. There are some, okay, who say that it was Obatala, but I'm saying it doesn't make a difference, okay? The point is, it's all there. But what we are missing, and it's not just because we're in a material world, okay? The world has always been material. There's been material people from Oyo to 10,000 years before Oyo, all right? But what are we deciding to do? You understand? And even if we say through other systems, you know, you're in the room, okay? The question is now, what are you thinking about? And what are your expectations? What are the stories that you've heard to prepare you? Like Baba Orisha, when you say, when you read OG say, that helped set the stage for your initiation.
It did.
And that's what I mean by Ogbon in literature. Okay.
Ashe.
Now I'm gonna go on a little tangent here. Okay, so bear with me. Let me take a breath. Okay.
Okay, while you take that breath, real quick before you do the tangent.
No.
Now, I'm not going to throw you off, but this is the other question I only want to ask. So I don't forget, because I'm not trying to hear that tangent. I know some new questions are going to be coming today. I don't forget this one. So with that, what Akbon, is that I would say not a derivative, but is that a kind of like a is that like a leading into of the Ogboni Society? Like, does that tie into one another, or how does that work? That was what my second question was, Baba.
Okay. Loosely translated, again, because somebody from old Ile-Ife could come and say, well, you know, you just got it all wrong. But, you know, and I would say, at least I'm trying, you know. But when we put the word "ni" after, and they have Ogboni, all right, and it says to have, okay, so to have wisdom, and in this case, the Ogboni guild, society, fraternity, whatever, you know, Eurocentric term that's put on it, was that group of individuals who were lawmakers, okay, who also were in charge of the various types of trials and punishments to those who had broken laws and codes. The Ogboni were also the keepers of the shrines, if you will, and held on to the Odui Fa, okay? And the Ogboni could make a king or break a king.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, but again, that wisdom and what that wisdom entails and how that wisdom was attained become at this point a part of my story.
I should.
Because I am identifying more with being an Ologbani, okay? Owner of wisdom. Now I'm 72. I think it's about time. Okay. So now that's in effect. And so as I have researched the Akbani and have come to know it more from an historical, again, you know, as I started off with, we're amassing knowledge, information, emo. So it's like, okay, here they are, Akbani. I see them, understand them, but I got to turn pages in their lives. You know, what have they gone through? What were their challenges? Okay, how did they become so wise? They didn't just drop down from the sky. Okay, And very interestingly enough, they don't really give homage to all of the Orisha.
Listen, this is a full circle of like in 180, because shout out to her HRM, Her Royal Majesty Iyalode Osunbumi. Yeah, because I remember the very first episode, which we just passed Ashé's birthday, like on the 8th, right? We spoke, she spoke about the Ogboni. I didn't even know what the Ogboni was just 1 year ago. Literally, you know what I'm saying? And then now come full circle. That goes back to what I was saying earlier about the blessings of being able to be guided and under, the guidance and tutelage of some very powerful, wise elders. Because now I can't even tell you how much more wisdom has been poured into me, since 1 year ago. Like I said, even on the podcast, but that ain't counting how many hundreds of hours we probably spoke off the podcast. And that means all of y'all too, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's where I'm like, yo, this is dope. But I didn't mean to interrupt, but that really does, just in my own personal journey, it's showing me like, damn, that's a lot of ground that's been covered in 1 year. And shout out to the tribe for covering as much ground. We went from 0 to over 3,000, knocking on 4,000, So shout out to the tribe for that too, man, for this journey.
But the interest in Ogboni also, when I kind of came across and kind of cross-reference how they don't put as great an emphasis on the Orisha per se, their greater emphasis is on the earth goddess, Onile, and that's why I can share this openly, when I present objects, consecrated, I have people who receive those objects do something besides hold it in their hands and, okay, how do I use it? No, you have to go through a ritual, okay, to make you a part of the consecration. And that's why I came up with, we're a vital part of our consecration and the consecration of all that we receive. So they go through that, but the process is, in part, giving homage to Onile, not just a sacrifice to the earth, but giving homage to Onile via a covenant and imule. You aren't making a promise to, this concept of sky gods. You know what I mean? Which I do feel as though we've inherited, from our early, Christian or Islamic upbringing. But the deepness of the consecration process is via the earth. So we make promises to the earth and we go to the earth for healing, saying, we go to the to the airway, we give ourselves to the earth so that the earth gives to us the reciprocity. It's the first law of African traditional religion, to include Ifa Isese.
That's powerful.
But we can forget that because we're all like this. And the society that we live in keeps us all like this. And the elders whom we have bonded with, our grandmothers, the mom, etc., keep us like this because that's what they were taught. Now, does it make it right or wrong? That is not my position. But realizing how we got it and how it was a part of not only the enslavement of our bodies, the enslavement of our minds, but the enslavement of our spirit and the enslavement of our souls. So I'm saying that if we went back far enough, there would be ancestors who said, I can't do it. And then they walk off and then drown themselves in the ocean. Okay. So it wasn't like, we just, accepted it, but wisdom dictates that I understand it. There's nothing to struggle against here. But we're coming full circle. Like you said, we're making that revolution around the sun, and we're coming back to deeper understandings, deeper awareness, and we're seeking more knowledge via our history. Okay, I'm segueing into another chapter now.
Mm-hmm.
We learn our history, or as much of it as we can, and as and as truthful as it's not presented. Okay, but we have a historical rope to climb up. All right, that leads to the folkloric. Okay, so we have the empirical, and now we start learning about folk tales. We have Amos Tutuola, we have Afrocentric writers. We have the Van Sertimas, who are now, now we're open up to Ben Okri and Wole Soyinka. You know what I mean? And these people are coming to us like left and right. Okay, so that's the folkloric dimension. Now we start going into the mythological. We start learning about the gods and goddesses. We start learning about the Orisha, and Eshu is this, and Osun is that, and Shango is this, and Yemosha is that. And it's like, yeah, I'm moving up. I'm not really as concerned about the history as I used to be, but I'm all into Orisha right now. You understand? So I'm pulling myself up on this rope. Okay. Irete Meiji. Okay. We pull ourselves up the rope. All right. Now the
Baba, when you
mythology.
speak about, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but when you speak about the rope, is that like metaphorically speaking for like Ogun's chain, or you just like speaking in like
No, that's
the
different.
rope? Okay,
No,
got
that's
you.
different. Yeah, we're
Okay,
talking about
I
hemp.
got you.
Okay.
Okay,
All
I
right.
got you. Got you.
So
Yep.
now we come out of the the mythological, where we may be drumming and dancing. You understand what I'm saying? And we're getting, an initial, kind of point of view. Well, it's not all, negatively connotated voodoo-ish, and and the the whole creepy thing, that is projected through stories, more so produced and then disseminated. I won't even say interpreted, because I can come in with the story, give it to somebody in the industry, and by the time I see it on the screen, it's like, that's not what I told you. You know what I mean? That's not the picture. Okay. But that's what happens when the industry gets hold of it, and that industry is counterproductive. All right. But anyway, we move from the history, let's just say around the 50s and 60s, my time era, when we were all into Black history, We moved into the folklorish. Okay. We're going and taking a couple of Orisha dance classes, and we're coming to know this and coming to know that. It doesn't matter who's telling us what, it's like, this is new. It's exhilarating. I'm on a path to somewhere. All right. Now comes the mythological. Okay. The myths, the stories about the gods, and Oshun did this and Shango did that, and Oya was, this and that. Then we move that into a religiosity construct, where we are now ritualizing. Okay. We're making sacrifices, we're giving offerings. Okay. And that's generally where most of us stop. And that circle becomes a spiral, and it 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 brings about a concreteness, whereas the protocol, the ritual, this is done right, this isn't done right, how many stones in your pot, who initiated you, if you do this and do that, it'll be better, that'll be X amount of dollars, the whole thing becomes, a spiraling. And I'm like, okay, so what's next? Because see, all of this here, right here, it might as well be the industry. you know Everybody got something to say about something, and the actual tenets of Ifani Sheshe are not even discussed. We're not talking about Eniyangidi. Okay, being an authentic human being. Baba Orisha Bemi, I heard you use the word, authenticity. The authentic human being. It's not even discussed. We're not talking about the Iwa Pueles, the Iwa Lewas, and the Iwa Layes. It's not a part of it. And I'm like, who's producing this? Where's
Frauds.
Ray Ray? Okay, where's the saving grace in all of this? Okay, so and we're also concerned about how many Orisha somebody has, and we seem to be less concerned about their character and the building of Asuwada, not an Ile, but Asuwada, a community of thriving and giving people who are going to make a difference. Okay? We can't remain empty, just shells, shells of greatness. Okay, now
No, you're good. I can't wait to chime in with what you just said with the authenticity, because that's, oh my God, that's so real. But I don't want to jump in until you finish drilling home the point.
It's gonna take a second, bro. Hold your thought, okay?
No, drill it in. Shoot, I ain't gonna forget this one.
So from the religiosity, okay, which is where most of us are, and if not careful, most of us are going to stay, unless we decide to just throw everything in the trash, because we know as we age, as we become parents, grandparents, some of us great grandparents, we know as we get the degrees in various colleges, and as we work our way through the education of self, we become better readers, better writers, better thinkers, that something's not adding up here. I keep pouring my stream of consciousness into a bucket that has holes in it, and I always seem to come up empty. There has to be more, but where is the more? I'm stating that here is the more, the Asé Channel. Okay, the Asé tribe, the Kayode Nation, hand in hand, we are one. We form Asuwada. And it's not a shameless, commercial. It's an actual reality. Do the research. Look and see what has been done, not what we're talking about doing or not talking about doing. Look at what has been done, the empirical data, and match that with the anecdotal when you hear me speak. Okay, I'm not trying to get people all hyped up with Orisha and some spell to do this and some did. No, get down, get deep, and get something done in the name of Ifa initiation. If you're an artist, art. If you're a writer, write. 6.28% of writers in this country are of African descent. 6.28%. 6.28%. What are we bombarded with? Okay. And most of those writers are so influenced by the industry that they are basically echoing the bias and the prejudice against us. Okay. I'm only even talk about certain segments of the music industry. Okay.
I will. Hip hop and R&B both done been hijacked.
It's just going crazy.
Yeah, both of them been hijacked. Yeah,
both of them, right? Because they're exploiting the lesser,
the mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, psychological, and financial aspects of our cultural goddamn historical arts. So my apologies for the but
no, it's just that deep, man. Because see, we armoring up, we're gearing up, and now out of that 6.28%, let's just say of artists in general, okay, And then when we turn around and say, well, who's coming from the Ifa Isese perspective on the high note, like A Place of Nights, War and Resurrection, where there is a Babalawo in there who is designed to assist in the empire and not trying to cast some spells over people or, you know, read some mystic sign about something, or, you know what I mean, with the smoke and the candles going flickering and all that kind of stuff. But no, we're working on the empire that we have built, because this is our reality, and this is Ifa in literature that we have to bring into, and I take it the term for this evening is fruition. So you're at it at 6.28%, 1% or less is writing about Ifa and Isese in narrative, okay, much less historical data. Okay. But in narrative, it's taken me years of studying the history, the folklore, the mythology, and the religion to write as a philosopher, because that's the next stage. Not everyone is going to be that, but everyone should be aware of it and snatch, you know, the pieces that are cast out to the world. Okay. Something pragmatic, something that I can grasp. I can become a priestess based on the clarity through my paintings. I can become a priest based on the clarity that I gain from my historical study, like an El Hajj Malik El-Sabah, okay, who initiated him. You understand what I'm saying? So this whole statement of, okay, being so keenly focused on bringing through knowledge of Ifa and Isese a literary genre, perhaps in and of its own, not just, you know, Afrofuturism, which is cool, okay? But again, I can I name on 3 fingers positive presentations of our people from an Ifa Isese perspective. Right now, I can only name one, and that's the new series that just came out from Unique Studios, Iyanu, on Cartoon Network.
Is that the one
I
you sent me
checked.
the other day, Baba?
Yes, I did.
I'm gonna share that. I'm
I
gonna share
mean,
that clip in the link with the tribe.
yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd have to give it a 10. And I'm pretty, you know, straight up about it. And especially after having written A Place of Night's War and Resurrection. And as Baba Orisha Bami and I have spoken, looking forward to get that into an anime type of presentation
Production.
for the people.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna go back to authentic authenticity.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were gonna speak on that?
Yeah, that's a man, that's a whew. In this day and age, man, I almost feel like it's either a forgotten or, you know, like a forgotten, you know, commodity or lost art, you know, in a sense, because it's like there's so much fake ish going on out here. Like, you know, I feel like, and I don't feel like this is just the reality of the environment in which we live in. You get more, I feel like, more emotion and more traction in regards to, well, quote unquote, the beliefs, is you get more for being fake these days than you do for being real. And let me break it down. And no disrespect to the mothers, to the queens, to the sisters, because y'all know I love y'all. I worship the ground you walk on and the sky you fly in. But the ones who are misguided, who don't have that self-love, where, and Kwesi said that somewhere earlier in the comments, I had to find it, but where, you know, people are paying money to put your life on the line, to have enhancements done that are unnecessary, to look like other women who've been getting surgeries and lip fillers and fake boobs and fake booties for a minute now to look like the original womb man. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the Jedi mind trick is unbelievable, the BS that's going on. You know what I mean? So when you talk about being authentic, like that's one of the things I take the most pride in. I just was having this conversation last night and like a few days ago too, because we all make mistakes, we all mess up. You know what I'm saying? Everybody ain't gonna be perfect at everything. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna put myself on the map with this, because the last live we did, I was saying I was gonna go live again, like the next day or within a few days, but life happened. So I learned, that was a lesson I had to learn in real time. Like, yo, don't make, commitments, or don't make things, say things that you can't, bring to fruition. But it wasn't like I set out not to do it. It's just a lot of things took place that was unexpected that, didn't allow for me to do it. But as a man, I'm gonna own that, because it is what it is, and I'm gonna make sure that I do my best to do it in divine time. But I'm gonna be real about that. You know what I mean? And that's because that's what life is about. And so now, kind of being blessed with the opportunity to work in a very similar capacity as you with working with the young kings, it's like I drill that home every day, because it's like that's what they respect. That's what resonates with real people. Real always recognize real, and it always will. You know what I mean? It's always going to resonate when you're being real and authentic with other real and authentic people, even people who might not necessarily feel 100% comfortable in their authenticity and realness. When they see or hear somebody who is, it's going to give them the inspiration to know that they could do it too, i.e., Honorable El Hajj. That's why I've always considered him to be one of my heroes. That's why he's one of the main characters in Starseeds. And that's why, I talk about him, because I've always had something to look up at, like, yeah, that's him. That's him right there. You know what I'm saying? Like him and Pac, like that's them. And now I'm blessed to work with thems like you and Baba Small and Baba Combinated. You know what I'm saying? Wunam. And I can go on and on with that thems. You know what I mean? Baba Total. So it's like that's what I respect. Like, I don't care what color, I don't care your sexual preference, I don't care about none of that. If you real with me, I'm gonna be real with you, and we ain't gonna have no issues. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I respect, that's what I love, that's what I appreciate. Even if we don't necessarily agree, I'm still gonna rock with you, just from the level of I have to respect you, because as a man, I respect authenticity. Even as with young men. One of the brothers said something the other day, Monday. I think he's like 17. And man, listen, the way I work with people is like I try to get people to think, especially young people, with critical thinking, right? And to unpack, layers of seeing like, okay, so what was the root cause? So for me personally, I was like, okay, so I want to go through the room and see, what you're here for, and what could you have done different. If you can time travel, go back to the moment when whatever situation happened and took place to put you in the program that you're in, and to do, be here doing what we're doing now. What could you have done differently? How could you have made a better decision to not be in the situation to where we are today? You know what I mean? And it was dope, because everybody, after one brother came up and he said, man, I was like, bruh, he was like, accountability. As a man, I got to take it. I just did some dumb ish. You know what I'm saying? But he's like 17. I'm like, bruh. And I ain't going to go into depth to say everything, but after he finished, I'm like, bro, you just said about 25 mouthfuls. And I'm going to say it again, like 25 mouthfuls. I said, because what you just said was so real. I have to salute you for that, because I know grown people, my age and older, who feel like they've never been wrong before, or they're never going to admit fault for anything. I'm just like, how could you do it like that? I don't want to be around nobody like that. But to see young kings and young people who think on the level of authenticity, and they stand in their truth and standing on their square, I love it. I respect it with the utmost. So it's like, that's what I feel like we have to do culturally. And it starts here. Well, it starts with self, and then, it goes into the family and the community, and then the culture. But that's what we need, and even on the call we had with the office last night, it was like the whole, I would say the atmosphere and the environment of Bembes, right? And how people smoking weed, and you know what I'm saying, like just wilding at the Bembe. It's like you don't see nobody doing that in the mosques. You don't see nobody doing that in the churches. You don't see nobody doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, why would we allow our own people in this tradition to be doing these things at spaces that are supposed to be sacred, right?
Yeah.
So with that, Baba, I'm gonna kind of flip it back to you. What do you see being an elder, being an OGC, being an Oba, being an Oya, being someone who's written, I don't even know, 12, 13, 15, 16 books, being someone who is a progenitor of the culture, especially here in the diaspora, what
Yeah.
would you consider being the forefront of our task list in regards to installing and instilling the love, the respect, the gratitude, and the reverence of this beautiful, powerful tradition and culture that we call Ifa Isese?
I'm gonna be straight up with you, brother. You know, you just said it all with the experience that you had with the young king. You know, because see how we in Ifani Sheshe come to see is what we come to see.
Mm.
Okay, and through the history, folklore, mythology, religion, and now the philosophical ramifications, you know, as all of this battles against the psychological ramifications, you know, brought about by post-traumatic enslavement syndromes and post-traumatic stress disorders. You don't have to go to a war when you're in the war
Mm.
to be so mal-affected and maladjusted and misdirected, and all for a purpose. When you and I look at our people as Babalaos and see not an opportunity to gain monetarily, or not an opportunity to exert, you know, some ego statement of overlording, okay, but to see the goodness and the greatness, because we can't bring it out if we don't see it. And if all of our involvement in Ifani Sheshe doesn't lead to that, then we might as well be smoking weed in the bembe. We might as well be getting drunk and ginning up our Orishas, and you know what I mean, playing with them like they little kids with toys and candy and all that kind of stuff, instead of really taking on the onus of being empire builders. And trust me, they weren't doing that. How could they possibly have done that in those states of mind, and then going to bring the divinities into that state of mind? So what you just stated is authenticity, pragmatically speaking, not conceptually speaking. You understand? So now we're talking about the philosophical dimensions of Ifa and Isheshe. And all of that leads, in summation, to clarity. To clarity, not just being clear. You understand? It's just like when you see something, that doesn't mean that you recognize it. Okay? I see this carving, you know, behind the Oloye Baba Ifa Karade, but I don't recognize it. You know, what is it? You know, or I'm just looking at it with invisible eyes, you know? It's like, okay, or that's interesting. If I'm an artist, well, that's cool. You know, why are the eyes shaped the way how is it that our ancestors saw the seeing? Okay. So at any rate, so it goes on. So I may be clear about something, but that doesn't mean I have clarity. And at the end, when we start looking at, and I go back to Oba Ta'ala, okay, the king who has clarity, and I start to experience clarity via the wisdom, and I start to kind of grasp tangibly that clarity is a real thing. Clarity is a real thing, like wisdom is a real thing. Okay, like understanding is a real thing, and so is knowledge. Today, for example, and you know, I do the days week, and I understand that, but my way is the Olojoni. The day speaks to me by what it presents to me. And as I'm driving to and from work, it became clear to me that I'm in a mental state that is not the here and now. And then clarity comes. And I'm watching cars and people go by from an Ochosi state of mind. And I'm like, it's just like on a savannah. The people moving, the cars going by. You understand what I'm saying? People gathering like at the water hole, at a store or kind of, and it was just like we're just creatures of nature. And we can be in a car or a spaceship. That doesn't change anything. We could be stepping out of the projects or stepping out of a mansion. It doesn't change anything because clarity helps those who have earnestly come to see and recognize and be clear about clarity, come to this realization. And the world changes. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't, connect in the same ways. And I'm looking at them, looking at the people like they're just forms of nature. Okay? Forms of nature. People, I'm not saying that, shape-shifting into birds and all that kind of stuff. That's a whole nother story. But, they're just people on this planet, each endowed with movement and with the nature of purpose. I'm like, you know what I mean? Who needs anything else? Okay? Who needs anything else? And in closing, like I stated in A Place of Night's War and Resurrection, when Kuumbu, the Kakanfo of the Oyo Empire, and Oyawoye, okay, are standing under a starlit night, and then they are initiated not by hierarchical priests and priestesses and ceremonies and rituals and all, but they're initiated by clarity. They're initiated by clarity. By clarity. Just don't see, recognize. Just don't be clear. Clarity. I'm going to end there, my brother.
Ashe. Man, listen. Yeah, look, it's so funny because we spoke about this right before the show when I called you. And we got to pull, the tribe is tribing and but we're going to make it do what it do. But man, shout out to Maria and Kwesi, Mr. Brown, Alien Black Girl, Supreme Elohim, at Queen made it out to see us tonight. They dropping all kind of jewels and asking some phenomenal questions. So real quick, I want to run through a few of them before we wrap it up. Bye-bye. So one of them is let me find it real quick. I think it was in Kwesi, if I'm not mistaken. In Kwesi, I think it was you, bro. I'm trying to find it, but I believe in Kwesi was asking, is that Osun in the background behind you? That was one of the questions. I'm gonna try to get the other ones in too.
No, this statue is symbolic of Rumila. It's an Agiri. And under the cloth is where the king are. She has a bowl. And she's in the kneeling position, Kunle. And she's been with me since the 90s.
Wow. I'm looking at mine right there too. That's dope. You be having some stuff back there too, man. I ain't catch the that Ogbon you had back there on last week's live. I saw it on the replay. I was watching the replay. I don't know if it was earlier today or yesterday. I ain't even catch Baba had that Ogbon back there, man. You be having a whole art exhibit going on in the back.
That's my cake reel Ogbon. I didn't bring out the Ogbon in la, the granddaddy. I ain't bring that one out.
Ashe.
All right, come on, give me some more questions, man.
Okay, so
What
let
we
me
have
see. Let's see what else we got. Okay. So, and yeah, this is a good one too, man. So shout out to there's a few more, but I want to go. I'll have to screenshot them because those going to take a lot more because it was, I believe it was Alien Black Girl and Mr. Brown that dropped some heavy ones that's going to take. But I'll drop this one. Supreme Elohim said he's been on this earth for 40 years and have adults in his family who have been the same since the 70s. How come we're expected to elevate and grow, but yet our elders still stay stagnant? You know, how can we expand upon that or expound upon that?
How can we expound upon that? Well, the first thing, my brother, is to not become one, okay? Because the deepness is drowning, you know, and the story as to why they stay the same since the 70s may be something that we'll try to understand more so than, put any judgment on, okay? We're expected to elevate and grow because we are not from, a time perhaps when the educational system wasn't as strong, when the racism might have been, more traumatically felt. Because, see, I would need to know their story, and so would you, because some folks escaped Mississippi. You know what I mean? Lynchings and all that kind of thing. We don't know. But of course, we are expected to grow, and we don't know how far they've grown to be wherever they're stuck at. Because if they were coming up in the 20s and 30s, not only suffering a depression, but also again extreme racism and also lack of education, then we might say, oh, well, they're stuck where they are. But the truth of the matter is, they ain't nowhere near where they were. Okay. So again, we might have to loosen our grip, so that we can fly. And of course, we're expected to grow. Of course, we're expected. And wouldn't you expect your child to grow? Who might say you're stuck in the 2025s, if they're babies and is now 2045. So again, let's strive to be more understanding, a little less judgmental. And if people are stuck as you interpret, they may have a whole nother story, brother. So please be considerate,
Yeah, that's
Okay.
real, man.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Nah, that's real because and shout out to Mom Dukes, man, because me and my
Mhm.
mom was just having a conversation earlier today, and I was sharing with her, about I'm gonna give myself a humble little pat on the back because back in the day,
Mhm.
I don't know why either, honestly, but back in the day, I was like somebody who was like very, I guess against homosexuality, right?
Mm.
But I thank God for growth because I look at it now, it was stupid for me to ever be against it because at the end of the day, it ain't got nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with me at all. You know what I mean? So I don't even know why it bothered me. But that's growth. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe while I was a product of my environment, maybe I just, what I'm saying, had ignorant or limited mindset. I don't know. But I'm gonna own the fact that I'm proud now that it doesn't bother me. First and foremost, I have clients who, what I'm saying, are have that way and I
Yeah.
also, I rock with some people who that way because it comes back to what I was just saying earlier. I don't care what you do, who you sleep with, none of that. If you show me love and respect, I'm gonna show you love and respect. Because if you're heterosexual and you come at me sideways, it's an issue. It's a problem. So I don't care, like, what I'm saying, who you sleeping with when, whatever you do, what you do. But it was just cool because, to even say that to her and for her to know how I used to be, and then to explain it to her, like I give thanks for growth. I was like, my spiritual journey has really like enlightened me
See.
to a lot of growth to like not
Mm.
let things affect me or bother me that especially don't have nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? So it's just like at the end of the day, if you show me love and respect, I'm showing you love and respect. That's what it is. And especially people who like you and I or anybody who's in any sort of leadership position, whether it's spiritually, whether it's, what I'm saying, it's emotional, like whatever role you're in, like you can't be judgmental or I think like you can't be judgmental, but you can't also, I feel like turn people away because of their lifestyle or their, like who and what they are. Because you can't be, I'm speaking on me now. You can't truly be a true healer. And if I'm not mistaken, Baba, I believe you and I see eye to eye that that's ultimately what this is about for us. It's about healing our people. You can't be a true healer and turn people away because of who they sleep with. To me, you can't. Other people probably gonna think, a different way and gonna argue it. But I just know the people who I work with, I got love for them. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm here to help them the way I'm here to help anybody else if they want or reach out for my assistance and my help. So therefore, I feel like I have to kind of grow and evolve to look past things, especially things that don't directly affect me. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like what you just said with your answer to Supreme Elohim, I personally feel like that was part of my journey that I had to, grow past. Is like looking past things that don't directly concern me or that don't directly affect me for trying to do right and be of service to the greater good of humanity. Because at the end of the day, you're still a child of God, regardless. You know what I mean? That's just how I see it. So therefore, you do what you do, but if you coming to me for help or assistance and I'm in a position to do it, I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna discriminate on you because of who, who you with or who you sleep with.
Okay. That's
One
more?
Yeah, we got let me see. A few more. There's quite a few more, but I'm gonna go back and see can I find.
We're doing that. We working hard this evening, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of them, man. As I said, we talked about it before we got started. That's why I said it was funny to me because but it's good. Like we're here, and to be here, and it's been a challenge to line it up the way we accustomed to doing it. I think it's more of a statement, but I'm gonna share that one too. Alien Black Girl said everything isn't for everyone, even liberation. Not even, everyone hears the call to evolve. We must lead by example and those whose spirits align. That's powerful. And I saw that one come through too. So that's what I'm saying. Like they really dropping jewels in the comments. The whole tribe. Excuse me. So with that, I think I'll go ahead and give it to you, Baba, to leave, and drop, another pearl, another diamond, another food for thought or jewel for the tribe before we wrap it up, man.
Just as the podcast is repeated, as you listen back and take note, mental and or actual, and see where you are with this. See where you are with this. A lot of times we try to project and see where other people are, with whatever their stuff is. And again, we forget how important it is for us to see where we are, like where does this sit with me? What can I do with this? How can I apply it? What makes it a pragmatic approach as opposed to or different from an approach that is more one of abandonment of self, abandonment of intellect, abandonment of the onus and responsibility, the abandonment of consecration, being a part of the spiritual awakening and dawning of myself, and embracing the stages that I've gone through. Okay. And knowing that clarity has to be in front of me. Am I really seeing things clearly? And then do I have clarity? Okay. That's the message for this evening.
Asé. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try to. I'm not even gonna try to put no icing on that cake. I'm gonna leave that right there. I'm gonna leave that right there, man. I'm gonna leave it right there. Yes, sir. But nah, yeah, man. Shout out to the tribe, bro, because everybody is definitely showing a lot of love, man. Shout out to Alien Black Girl. I think she's new to the channel. She just said that she's only been with us for 2 weeks. Yeah, but she said she rocking with us. Just only been 2 weeks, but we appreciate you, Alien Black Girl. We appreciate the commentary and the love, the support, and also the value that you're bringing to the channel with your comments and questions as well. And shout out to the whole tribe for that matter for the same thing. We appreciate y'all. And speaking of aliens, that's the live that I was talking about having that I didn't get the chance to do yet, but it's definitely still coming because I got personal firsthand account, video footage. As a matter of fact, I shared some of it in the OGC class last week. When I caught that craft coming in, on the highway at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I was at work back then when I was driving them trucks, man. So it's like, it's a real thing. But shout out to the tribe. Shout out to everybody for the love, support, the new members. I think we did get a couple of new members as well on the channel, man. We definitely appreciate you all. And I'm not going to make no promises. I'm just going to say we're going to see y'all soon. And we're going to make it do what it do. And with that, man, much love, much support, much appreciation. Modupwe and Baba, you good? Anything else before we shut them down?
Only peace and love, my brother. Peace and love.
Asé.
One love, one heart,
Asé. And real quick, because look, and I'm gonna say this out of a sense of endearment and humor, because you've done it to me before, put me in tizzies intentionally, and put me on the spot. But I'm here for it. But with that, man, do you mind if I just share just like a little quick little itty bitty dab, just at least the cover of Akbon says and Kwesi, asked like, what I'm saying, like when this thing dropping. So if you don't mind, I got it already queued up. You don't mind if I share the cover at least, and then we kind of hit them with, when we do the release, once we get it all set up.
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, there might be a change or two by and by, but for now, let it happen, bro.
Sure. All right, family. So yeah, this is the rough draft, cover of Akbon, a pragmatic approach to philosophy, by none other than the Obadi Oloye Baba Ifa Karade, which is dope to me. It goes in alignment with this whole extraterrestrial thing, man, because I see the space. I can't say exactly what it is, but I think from what I see, it looks like some stars, some planets in the universe. It's a dope piece of art, man, cosmic art to say the least.
Homage to Sister Shah Goddess. Okay, she's the artist for the cover and throughout the book.
I sure.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Shah Goddess. It is dope, and especially what I've seen already as well. So I'm looking forward to it, man, for sure. I can't wait till it drops, and and facilitate or be a part of the whole launch party as needed and as as you so will allow me to do, man. I'm with it, man. We're here now. We're gonna make it do what it do.
All right now.
I say.
Thank you for sharing, bro.
For sure, man. I appreciate you, Baba. You already know. So, it is what it is, man. It's gonna be what it's gonna be, and if it's OG say 1, it's OG say 2, and it wouldn't be that for me if it wasn't for you. So I definitely appreciate you, all you've done and all you continue to do, not just for myself, but for the tribe and for the culture, man. We definitely appreciate you, Baba, for sure.
All right, but now I got to stop you, man.
What happened?
Huh? You dropped something on me a day or 3 ago.
Uh-oh.
And it was like, because we was looking out for each other, man. We had each other's 6,
Oh yeah.
And you were like, there is no OG say 1, there is no OG say 2. We just OG say. All right.
Sure.
We just different shades of the same greatness, bro.
I appreciate that, Baba. I should. And speaking of OG say, since we're talking about it, I was able to snatch mine up out of the bookshelf real quick while I was off the screen. So yeah, shout out to the OG say, man. It's been a phenomenal ride, and I ain't gonna lie, man. I never would have saw all this coming 5 years ago. Shout out to Yaya again, because a lot of my divination is years ago. She predicted all of this. And it's like I didn't see it, but I didn't doubt it. But now, like, to see all this come to fruition, man, I am beyond humbled, and grateful. Every day I wake up and give thanks. I was just talking to my pops about that earlier, just about the gratitude, just giving thanks. Got a lot of blessings, man. So I give thanks, and I just want to do the best I could do, with the stage and the floor that I was blessed to walk on and to share, because that's what it's about.
Sure, bro.
Yes, sir. I share.
All right.
All right, family. Well, we definitely appreciate you all. Shy Goddess, we appreciate you and that dope art with the book, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing it, reading it, and sharing it. And we got some more comments. I'm gonna throw them out there real quick. Maria said, "You guys don't realize, but it renewed my." I renewed my library card a few weeks ago for the first time. That's what's up, man. That's dope. That's dope. Yes, sir. We here now. We here now, tribe. We here now. So that's what's up. So yeah, family. We'll see y'all again in the very near future. I ain't gonna throw no dates out in days because, like I said, life be lifing sometimes. But so I'm gonna hold myself accountable for that. But I definitely got that coming for y'all soon. So with that, man, we definitely appreciate the love, support. Bye once again. You know, I'll be hollering at you, man. We're gonna make it do what it do. And yeah, shout out to the tribe, man. We here now, and we'll see y'all on the next one. This is Orisha Bemi, and don't forget to please like, share, subscribe, and you know, we'll see y'all on the next episode. We out, family. Peace. Odabo.
Ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé ṣàpò ìyàgbọ́ tẹ́ǹtì ẹni takísà ní tàtàn ò bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ ẹja lọ pé eégún mo ṣe ní gbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́ forsake not your ancestors and pray.